What's up everyone, Zach here from musicplayers.com, and today we're going to check out the new TC Electronic 2290 Dynamic Delay Pedal. Welcome back to musicplayers.com. This is the online magazine for serious musicians, back with another YouTube video, and this time we have a fantastic delay pedal here from TC Electronic that seeks to mimic the original 2290 delay unit that you've heard on hundreds of thousands of classic recordings. While this may seem to be just a regular guitar pedal at first, as you can see behind me, it fits really well on a studio desk, and with its stereo inputs and outputs works really well when integrated into your existing rack setup. There is tap tempo on the unit, which means you can easily adjust it during a gig or a live session, and you have instant access to go up and down different presets as well. The unit itself comes with 20 that TC Electronic themselves made, and you can store up to 128 user presets as well. Using either the desktop application or mobile application, you can store, edit, and adjust all of your presets on the go or at home, which is a really nifty feature, especially if you want to try different settings that other users or other TC artists themselves have used and created for the unit. The unit itself features 9.99 seconds of maximum delay time, and that allows you to coax different other modulation effects out of this unit, such as chorus, phasing, panning, filtering, tremolo, and flanging. As I mentioned before, it has stereo ins and outputs that also doubles as an effects return loop if you want to use it that way if you're only running in mono. It features MIDI in and out as well as through, an expression pedal input so that you can quickly adjust parameters using an expression pedal. It has a USB-C input so that you can back up your presets, as I mentioned before, or if you want to update the firmware in the future. And last but certainly not least, you can toggle between true bypass or a buffered output, so it will work with any type of pedal board setup or studio gear. Inside the box, you can find a quick start guide in 11 different languages, several international power adapters, a complimentary USB-C cable, the power adapter, and a custom faceplate. With an MAP of $349, there are a ton of features packed into this unit, so without further ado, let's dive into it and see what it sounds like. So starting from left to right here, we'll go through each of these different sections of the pedal. In the modulation section here, you can adjust the speed and depth of your delay repeats, the shape of the waveform if you want a sine wave, a random wave, an envelope, etc. And you can select if you want delay, panning, or dynamic modulation. In the second box here, we can turn on and off each of those different sections that we just talked about, as well as if you want your modulation to affect your delay repeats or your direct signal, or both. You can also choose to reverse the modulation here, which can really create some unique different soundscapes. In the delay window here, we can select how fast we want our delay time to be. If you want the modulation off, on, or deep, which enhances and elevates the amount of modulation that we get. If we want to invert it, and if we want to change the subdivision from quarter note, eighth note, dotted eighth note, so on and so forth. In the feedback section here, we can control how many repeats we want, if we want to invert those or keep them normal, and if we want to adjust the high cut and the low cut of the delay repeats, which can help it sound more like a vintage unit and less like a digital unit. Over here in the output, we have individual control over the delay volume and the direct signal volume, and then over here we can choose if we want to toggle between different presets or if we want to store the settings that we currently have. And again, these foot switches allow us to choose between two different presets that are next to each other. You can toggle the tap tempo on and off, or press and hold it. You can play a little bit and it'll learn and kind of determine what tempo you're at. And then you can choose to bank your presets up and down. So since there are hundreds of thousands of combinations that you can achieve with this unit, we're going to focus on just a couple different presets to give you an overall view as to what this pedal is capable of. So let's dive into some sounds. So as you can see, we have the 2290 hooked up right here. I am running my Aristides 060R straight into the front input of my Fractal Audio Axe FX 3, and the 2290 is running in the effects loop, which is how you would normally run a delay pedal, especially in a studio or live setting where you want your delays to be really clear. So this is my direct signal. We're just running into a regular Fender style clean tone amp. And as I come over here, I'm gonna hit the delay button, and it'll allow me to start turning up how much of the effect I'm getting. So I set it to about 60%. Right now I'm running on a chorus style patch. Which, if I continue to turn that up, with a higher delay level, you get a more lush sound on this chorus mode. And again, this is achieved by having no feedback, no delay repeats, setting a very, very low delay time of under 1 millisecond, and experimenting with the mix and the depth of the unit. One nifty feature here is if you hold down the delay button, you can change the time per 100 milliseconds instead of having to scroll each subdivision of a second at a time. So overall, this pedal has a ton of features built into it, more than most other delay pedals within the same price point. The only other units that I can think of that I've tried myself that have a similar level of depth are going to be those massive Strymon delay pedals that have all the different MIDI inputs and all the different preset configurations and all the deep dive menus. So I would say this is comparable to that more than a typical regular delay stomp box style pedal. This is definitely a unit where you're going to need the manual handy, as the unit itself can be a bit confusing at first to navigate, especially if you're not used to how the 2290 itself originally worked back in the 80s. The manual itself goes really deep into what each different button and each selection does, and is a really great way to start getting used to the unit, so that then you can take what you've learned and then try and recreate all the tones that you would need out of this unit. But I would not advise it for someone who is just starting out as a first delay pedal, because it can be very daunting and confusing at first with all the menus and lingo, and the numbers themselves can be a little bit confusing if you don't know exactly what it is you're trying to manipulate within the unit itself. The factory presets are more than usable and can be quickly adjusted and edited to fit what you need to do yourself. However, creating presets is a very similar process, and you can take one of the existing factory presets, tweak it, and then save it to a different number for yourself. The delays themselves are fantastic in this unit. You don't have to worry about the sound quality because it's definitely studio grade, which also translates really well live. It's not muddy, it won't get distorted or clipped. The different modulation types that you can get by adjusting the different delay parameters really opens up this pedal into almost a multi-effect style unit, where you can maybe have a chorus preset a trippy delay preset, some sort of phasing, and maybe some panning as well if you're running a wet, dry, wet signal, which is very easy to do in this unit because you can choose to pan your direct signal or just your delay repeats and get a really wide 3D sound from it. That's going to wrap up today's video. Be sure to check out more content by visiting musicplayers.com, and we'll see you in the next video.